For more than half a century, aircraft designers have dreamed of shrinking the globe by flying faster than sound, only to run headlong into the sonic boom, an airborne thunderclap loud enough to rattle windows and public opinion alike. The United States banned routine supersonic flight over land in 1973, and the retirement of Concorde 3 decades later seemed to close the chapter on civilian Mach 1 travel. Now NASA and Lockheed Martin's X-59, Quiet Supersonic Technology demonstrator, centerpiece of the agency's QueSST mission, is poised to prove that speed and public comfort can coexist. The single-seat experimental jet is designed to turn the shocking boom into a neighbor-friendly 75 decibel sonic thump, roughly the sound of a car door gently closing, and its first flight is officially penciled in for 2025. Why the noise matters more than the Mach number. A sonic boom is the audible footprint of shockwaves that stack up when an aircraft outruns its own pressure disturbances. Conventional layouts concentrate those waves into 2 abrupt pressure jumps that reach the ground as the infamous boom. The X-59's sculpted 99-foot fuselage and needle-like 38-foot nose spread the shocks into many small ripples that merge into a soft thud. By proving that a supersonic aircraft can behave like a quiet neighbor, NASA hopes to persuade U.S. and international regulators to write new, data-driven noise standards. If those rules arrive on schedule in 2028, a fresh generation of commercial and military designs would finally be free to cruise above Mach 1 between cities instead of detouring over the sea. The cautionary tale of Concorde still shapes every design review. Concorde captured the world's imagination when it entered service in 1976, but its triumphs were undermined by economics and acoustics. The narrow-bodied Delta devoured 6,771 gallons of fuel per Atlantic crossing, carried only 100 passengers, and it was barred from most overland routes because of its 105-plus decibel boom. A fatal tire burst crash in 2000, a post-9/11 slump, and spiraling maintenance costs finally led Air France and British Airways to retire the fleet in 2003. Had Concorde been quieter, its story might have been very different. NASA's low-boom agenda was born from that lesson. Solve the noise first, and speed will follow. Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works turns aerodynamics into acoustics. Preliminary design kicked off in 2016 when Lockheed Martin won the low-boom contract. Engineers tested a 9% scale model in Langley wind tunnels, sweeping from subsonic flow to Mach 1.6 to validate computer predictions. By January 2024, the full-scale airframe rolled into the sunlight at Palmdale, California, resplendent in white anti-solar paint and sporting an air inlet perched atop the fuselage. The unusual intake position hides shockwaves from ground observers and prevents the engine exhaust from interacting with the tail, both key to taming the boom. In late 2024, the team lit the General Electric F414's afterburner for the first time, its diamond-shaped exhaust flame confirming that the engine can deliver 22,000 pounds of thrust the program demands. Borrowing proven hardware keeps costs and risks in check. Although the X-59 looks exotic, many of its innards are recycled from frontline jets. The landing gear and canopy come from the venerable F-16, the ejection seat from a T-38 trainer, and the flight control computers have direct lineage to modern fighters. That catalog approach saves money and accelerates certification, allowing NASA to focus its budget on the custom structure and low boom shaping instead of reinventing subsystems that already work. The resulting machine weighs in at roughly 32,000 pounds fully fueled, a fraction of Concorde's mass, yet is expected to cruise at Mach 1.42, about 940 miles per hour, while skimming the stratosphere at 55,000 feet. When your nose is 38 feet long, you need electronic eyesight. The price of the X-59's slender profile is forward visibility. A traditional windshield would destroy the boom mitigation geometry. Instead, pilots rely on the external vision system, twin 4K cameras and custom image processing software that project a synthetic forward view onto a cockpit display. Early flight deck trials in a King Air surrogate aircraft showed that test pilots can land precisely even without a conventional window. Ground tests paved the runway toward first flight. A parade of verification campaigns has already cleared major hurdles. High-speed taxi runs proved that the long gear can handle asymmetric braking without shimmy. Electromagnetic checks verified that the composite airframe shields avionics from lightning-level surges, and ground vibration tests mapped the structural resonances to keep flutter at bay. NASA's Scleran imagery system even photographed the shockwaves from chased aircraft to ensure that the signature matches predictions before the X-59 ever leaves the runway. The remaining step is a short initial flight envelope expansion over Edwards Air Force Base, expected before the end of 2025, to certify that the jet can safely reach its design point of Mach 1.5. Communities will judge whether the thump is truly acceptable. Once initial flight test data are in hand, NASA plans a 2-year community response campaign over several U.S. cities of varying size and ambient noise. Residents will log what they hear, if anything, while an array of ground microphones records the acoustic footprint. The anonymized survey results will then be delivered to the Federal Aviation Administration and the International Civil Aviation Organization in 2027 as evidence for updating the supersonic ban. Global competitors are already studying silent speed. American startups such as Boom Supersonic tout boomless cruise promises for their 80-seat overture liner, but the race is hardly a one-nation affair. In Moscow, the TSAGI Aerohydrodynamic Institute leads a government-funded program to develop low-boom passenger concepts, leveraging Russia's hypersonic missile work to shape civilian transports. Aviationweek.com. Meanwhile, in Shanghai, COMAC researchers have published blueprints for the C949, a Mach 1.6 airliner that aims to fly 6,800 miles and generate a sonic footprint quieter than a hairdryer. Beijing and Moscow are watching the QueSST results closely. If NASA proves regulators will accept a thump, rival prototypes could follow within a decade. From London to Sydney in a single workday, if the economics close. At its design cruise, the X-59 would cover the 10,500-mile London to Sydney Great Circle distance in about 8 hours. A next-generation derivative with airline range could make the trip in half that time. More realistic near-term routes include Paris-New York in 3.5 hours or Los Angeles-Tokyo in 6. Yet fuel burn remains the wild card. Even a quiet supersonic jet must sip kerosene far more efficiently than Concorde to win airline accountants. Sustainable aviation fuels and possible hybrid power plants may ease the environmental ledger, but they will not erase the higher physics of drag at Mach 1+. Regulators will also demand lifecycle carbon accounting alongside noise data before granting overland corridors. Military strategists see more than comfortable ticket times. A tactical aircraft that can sprint across a continent without announcing its arrival via sonic cannon has obvious appeal. Surveillance missions could linger at supersonic dash and still operate above suburban neighborhoods, while air refueling tankers or command and control platforms might reposition in minutes instead of hours. Quiet boom technology is therefore a rare topic where civil research may directly inform classified defense projects, another reason China and Russia track QueSST milestones with interest. The regulatory clock is already ticking toward 2028. NASA's schedule assumes that the technical data package reaches the Federal Aviation Administration and International Civil Aviation Organization in 2027, allowing 2 years for rulemaking. If the agencies agree on a target of roughly 75 perceived decibels at ground level, the supersonic prohibition in Part 91 could be replaced by a performance-based limit rather than an outright ban. Industry lobbyists are preparing white papers and cost-benefit analysis to accompany NASA's acoustic evidence. A single demonstrator is not the finish line, but it is the green flag. The X-59 will never carry passengers, and it is not intended to prove a business case. Instead, it is the equivalent of the Bell X-1 that first cracked Mach 1 in 1947, a pathfinder that clears regulatory and aerodynamic barriers so industry can design practical vehicles. If the aircraft performs as predicted and the public shrugs at the thump, supersonic flight could graduate from exotic to everyday by the early 2030s. Speed, once silenced, may speak louder than ever. History shows that technology only conquers the marketplace when it respects the people it serves. By swapping a window-shaking boom for a polite tap on the eardrum, the X-59 offers a future where travelers can chase the sunset without waking the neighborhood. Should that promise hold true over the next few years of flight tests and community trials, the world's skies will not merely get louder or faster. They will become, at last, comfortably quick. If you enjoyed this journey into the future of flight, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Got thoughts on supersonic travel? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more incredible tech and aviation stories. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the skies.